Welcome to the Ararat Rural City Council meeting for April 2019. Council is keen to engage with members of the community and now live streams the formal council meetings to make them accessible. The stream will be available to view at Ararat Rural City Council's Facebook page from 6 p.m. and on Council's website www.ararat.vic.gov.au from Wednesday morning following the council meeting. You do not require a Facebook account to watch the live broadcast. Simply enter www.facebook.com/Ararat Rural City Council into your address bar. Please be standing.
The traditional acknowledgement. We acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today and pay our respects to their elders, but past, present and emerging.
Opening prayer. Almighty God, we humbly ask you to help us as elected councillors of the Ararat Rural City Council, guide our deliberations, prosper what is your will for us, to your honour and glory, and for the welfare and benefit of the people whom we serve in the Ararat Rural City.
The Councillors pledge. We will undertake the duties of the office of Councillor in the best interests of the people of the municipal district of the Ararat Rural City Council, and faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in us under the Local Government Act 1989, and in all other acts best to their skill and judgment.
Thank you, BC. Apologies, there's an apology from Councillor Armstrong. Are there any other apologies? No? Don't need the motion, do we? All right, Councillor Braithwaite, moving that we accept the apology of Councillor Armstrong?
Yep.
Seconder, Councillor Deutsch. All those in favour? Against? Passed. Confirmation of the minutes of the meeting held on the 19th of March 2019. Are there any questions from the minutes? So Councillor Hull moved. Councillor Deutsch seconded. Anyone wish to speak? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Passed. Declaration and disclosure of interest. Has anyone got a declaration or disclosure of interest? None at this stage. Is there any admission of urgent business? None at this time. Request to address council. Is there any formal request to address council?
No.
There's no one in the gallery that wishes to address council, so we'll move on. 2.2, deputations, presentations. There are none. Petitions. There are no new petitions.
No petitions this month.
So 2.3.1, petition unsealed roads maintenance of Moorstead. Who's presenting this?
I'll present that one, Mr. Mayor. We had a petition at last month's meeting laid on the table, which was investigation. That petition was in relation to some unsealed roads in the Moorstead district, particularly Bottom Line Road, Lennox Spring Road, Bolton Road, Block Road, Morgan Road, Wild Wayne and White Patch Road. There's an investigation of those roads. They're all unsealed roads that have some significant rating on them at this point in time. There are corrugations present on them. It tends to get worse during dry weather. I guess we'd all agree we've had some pretty serious dry weather in recent times. In fact, there's no point in grading those roads at this point in time because they'll break down very, very quickly and we'd have to pour a lot of water into them to do any work on them at all. We're back in a couple of weeks. The recommendation to council is that we undertake maintenance grading, follow all the range, which is the most sensible time to undertake that grading of those roads, and then we assess Bottom Line Road, Wild Lane and Lennox Springs Road for minor reshooting works because they're more seriously degraded than the other roads in that area.
Are there any questions for Councillor Braithwaite?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. It's the very worst time of the year to be assessing road condition after a long, hard and high temperature.
The question? Have you got a question rather than...
Well, does it have to be a question?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, well, my question is, when will we start?
Will be after we get some rain. There's no point at this stage. The road will break up too quickly. Fully graded at this stage, it'll almost be counterproductive and they require more rehabilitation work than it'd be worth at this point. It's difficult for landowners who do those areas, but we need to wait until those autumn rains to make it practical for us to do that work.
Councillor Deutsch, you have a question?
Any more news about spray, chemical spray which seals the rock better than...
Yeah, that's still under investigation, Councillor Deutsch, so as we've got more information on that, we'll provide that to Council at a briefing in the future.
Thank you.
I'm very pleased that Councillor Braithwaite thinks we can bring the weather. If you can bring rain, I'll be very happy.
I'm happy to move the recommendation.
Councillor Holwood moves recommendation, second Councillor Holt. Anyone wish to speak?
Yes, I do. The member for Wannon tells me Easter Monday is the day it's going to pour rain. So we're holding it to him, we know where he lives. But Easter Monday it is going to pour.
Well, I did hear a radio report just this evening that doesn't say that.
Fingers crossed.
Are there any other comments anyone wishes to make? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? That's passed. Regional Council's Transformation Program.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've asked a couple of times on this while it's been developed. This is a program of $20 million funding provided by the state government to assist rural councils in particular to engage in resource sharing activity to make them more economically sustainable into the future. We've become a part of two proposals under this model. The first one is efficiency through scale, which is in conjunction with Glenelg Shire, Southern Grampians Shire, Northern Grampians Shire, but Northern Grampians is the lead council. And that project is largely about digital transformation of council operations, which is something that we've spoken about at some length that we require. So it'd be good to get some state government to assist us to do that. It's about building a common platform between the four councils so that it makes resource sharing across a range of other areas easier and simpler. It's about having some best approach to gas management systems that are collaborative in service delivery, consistent user experience based on that IT platform, reduce risk to council members using specialist skills and market-leading digital solutions. I think that's just a bit of a buzzword one in there, to be honest. It's also enhancing the attractiveness of working in rural regional council regions, because I guess sometimes staff can come to rural council and be quite shocked by the digital platform they're encountering. I was a bit like that when I came here and found we still use Latest Notes, for example, as our email platform. And it's also about enhancing career skill development opportunities. So that's a really strong model moving forward. It's had quite a lot of support from the department at this point in time. The second one is the Central Highlands Council's Victoria Regional Shared Services Project, which is quite wonderful. And that one is really about, in some senses, also about resource sharing, of course, but also it's going to be resource sharing around technical services difficult to access skills areas, in building services, environmental health and town planning, which are areas that we all have trouble accessing suitably qualified staff in, so we're about resource sharing in that space. But there's also some commentary in that application about a single IT base as well. So there's some commonalities between the two. The recommendation the council presented with there is quite lengthy and quite wordy, but it follows the model recommendation that local government Victoria require us to adopt to be a part of the process. I guess it really just notes that we're a participant in the two groupings I've just mentioned, efficiency through scale and Central Highlands one. It also notes that an application has already gone for, a submission of business cases has gone for both of those, for the lead councils, that being Northern Grampians and the City of Ballarat, by the 31st of March, and they've both been accepted by the department. And we'll also pass up the resolutions that we're talking about this evening, that we approve the submission of business cases, even though they've already been submitted. It's a very strange process, this one is the way Local Government Victoria wanted it done. We approve the implementation of the projects if we're successful. So if we're successful with money, we'll actually approve and we'll implement those projects. And we also approve prioritisation. And I've suggested that we look at efficiency through scale, which is the project with Northern Grampians, Southern Grampians and Glenelg. I think it has far better commonalities and it has a far better result for us as a council. We're not sharing with 10 councils in that process, it's 4 councils that have very similar issues and interests at play. I'll just commend the project to council. It's a great way for us to move forward around our digital transformation in particular, but also if we're not successful in that project, there is some resource sharing opportunities available in the Central Highlands project, although I don't see it as strong as the former.
So a question from me.
Yes.
Can we be successful in both?
Well, if we're successful in both, we can be. Both could get up. We've actually got to prioritise one over the other.
And that's what we're doing.
And that's what we're doing here.
Yeah.
But if it's not saying we can't be in both, but if they have too strong a commonality between them, we've got to pick one to be in. And I think the one that makes most sense to me, my recommendation to you is that we go with the one that's based solely in rural councils.
Fine. Any other questions of the officer? If not, anyone wish to move the recommendation? Councillor Holt, seconded Councillor Deutsch. Does anyone wish to speak to it? Councillor Holt.
Mr Mayor, I think that the CEO has explained it very well. I think it's something that we as smaller councils need to look to, because we don't have the resources to do these things on our own, and any way that we can work with other councils to achieve the right end, I think is to be commended.
Does anyone else wish to make a comment? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against, that's passed. Annual review and amendment procurement policy. That'd be you again, Mr. Sir.
No, it's full cop.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. An annual review of the procurement policy is a requirement of the Local Government Act 1989 under section 186A. The policy that's up tonight only had minor amendments which have been made to the procurement policy to clearly delineate the financial delegations in relation to changes to the organisational structure, and there's been no other major changes since May 2018.
Are there any questions? If not, so move it. Councillor Holland, Councillor Braithwaite. Anyone wish to speak to it? No, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against, that's passed. 3.3 is withdrawn. 3.4 corporate performance report.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. This will be the second last quarterly performance report we'll present in this format. We'll be improving the format in the new financial year. While still maintaining the requirements from Local Government Victoria, we'll certainly be improving the information available to Council through this report, but we'll struggle through this one for the time being. I guess the highlights here are that we're still maintaining a fairly strong surplus of 2.8 million for the 9 months, end of the 31st of March.
Can I just ask a question? Did we skip 3.3?
It was withdrawn.
Oh. Yeah, sorry.
So we still maintain a healthy surplus for the 9-month period at this stage, and I suspect that our surplus position will improve at the next report for the financial year. We've been working pretty hard, freezing some accounts and making sure that we're not overspending in those last months, as can often be the temptation. So we're managing very carefully as we move forward to the end of the financial year. Again, the indicators here, although we're looking in the healthy category for all of those, they're still difficult to make sense of for the 9-month period. They're really 12-month indicators, so they are what they are at this point in time. But again, we'll have some different indicators to apply to Council in the next financial year reporting. Not sure what else I can add at this point in time, unless Council's got any particular questions.
Have you got any questions? If not, there's a recommendation there, something new. Councillor Holt, Councillor Allgood, wish to speak to it?
Mr Mayor, I think this is a very good report. I particularly note the achievement of the CEO and his staff in restricting expenditure, and I've worked in other levels of government where there is a tendency to spend up big before the end of the financial year, and I'm very pleased to see that this council is not falling into that trap. I think it's a very good result of today, and I will look forward to the final result at the end of the year.
Any other comments? Councillor
I'd
Allgood.
just like to say that we seem to be back on solid ground, and what a difference it is to last year. So I'd just like to congratulate the CEO on his achievement, because I think it's really what we've been looking for.
Any other comments?
Well, all I can say is there's a consistent improvement when it looks to the papers, month by month. It's great.
Councillor Braithwaite.
Yes, I also believe that we are now in a fairly solid position, but there's much more work to do, as we all know. And I look forward to the new format.
If no other comments, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against, it's passed. Building approvals. There's a recommendation there.
I'm happy to move the recommendation with a question.
Yeah, it's moved by Councillor Allgood, seconded Councillor Holt. The question, Councillor Allgood.
I think this might be a record. I'm not being silly, but I think this is a record for the turnaround for these people. And I think that's absolutely fantastic, because that's another thing that we've been able to achieve over the last 12 months, which I'm pretty proud of.
Yep.
Any other comments? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Passed. 4.2, subdivision, there's a recommendation there. You want to move that? Councillor Wood? Same comment?
Yes.
Councillor Braithwaite, second. Anyone wish to speak to it? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? This has passed. Section 86, Committee of Management Minutes. It's very pleasing to see that one of our staff is attending on behalf of some of us that can't get to the meetings, so that there should be no situation where no one is representing council at any of the meetings. I'll just make that comment while we're looking at it.
Can I just make a comment? Jenny, you attended the Wycliffe
Yes.
meeting, which isn't recorded in the minutes. I was not able to attend, but Jenny did, so that's a correction that we're going to make at the next meeting.
That's fine. Any other questions or amendments? Can I move and second it? Councillor Deutsch, are you moving? Thank you, Councillor Deutsch. Councillor Braithwaite, does anyone wish to speak to those? If not, put the motion. All those in favour? Advisory Committee minutes. Any questions on that, councillors? If not, someone move it. Councillor Braithwaite and Councillor Hull, anyone wish to speak to it? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against, that's passed. Assemblies of councillors. Any questions in relation to the assemblies of councillors? If not, there's a recommendation there. Hull and Braithwaite, thank you. Whichever order you like. I can't do a photo finish there. Does anyone wish to speak to the recommendation? I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour? Passed. Councillors' reports. So Councillor Deutsch.
Well, we had a few meetings with the locals in Lake Borlock. I think they're very impressed with our new CEO, and things are starting to happening. On the 6th and the 15th of May, there will be another meeting with the Lake Borlock Sports Centre. And if the CEO would like to attend, as he indicated, that would be great. Maybe we get a few more things done what day after, and that's about all I have to say. I think Lake Borlock residents are very happy with the way the council is proceeding right now.
Thank you, Councillor Deutsch. Councillor Pepper.
Nothing to report this month.
Councillor Allgood.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. One of the things I'd like to report on was the success of the business breakfast. I'm not quite sure whether the figure, Mr CEO, was 85 or 112, I'm not sure, but I'll take that middle ground if you
I
want.
may have made up the 112.
I think you did.
It was interesting. But look, a great turnout and a great way for us to actually sit down and have discussions. And I know that there's talk of the Ararat Regional Business Association reforming, because some people approached me about that. So that's terrific news for the community as well, because I think it's well needed. The other thing I'd like to talk about is that I'd like to put on record tonight that the recognition be given to the success of the Bill Waterson Skate Park, because it's finished, I can talk about it. The Ararat Community Enterprise donated $30,000. The service clubs Ararat Road and Ararat Lines gave donations. Many businesses became involved, donating towards fundraising over the months. The wheelbarrow donated by Mighty 10 and how quickly it filled with Easter eggs. The heater donated by Gasons, and all the wood cutting was an enormous success. In one weekend, the Ararat youth, with the assistance from parents, friends and clubs, raised $5,000. Also, the youth through the Ararat Rural City were kept involved and consulted throughout the process, and I don't think I have ever witnessed anything that was so popular with the youth, so it's really great to see. The other thing I'd like to report on is that yesterday we had a visit from the member for Wannon, Dan Tehan. We received $5,000 towards a mower to get over to the islands at Greenhill Lake and cut the grass. So we received a grant for $5,000, and the Ararat ladies probe us. Because we have difficulty getting to and from meetings, we received some money to get our elderly to the hall and home again by taxi, because there's no service that can actually do that at the moment. We also received money to actually go to Wallora with the ladies and have lunch down there with the Wallora community, and then go for a drive around and see what's going on in Wallora. So we're successful for $3,000 in that regard as well. So pretty pumped about that one too. So those grants help our budget enormously if we can all apply for that. And I believe, Mr. CEO, do you know how much the community bank got, food bank received?
The food bank received about $88,000.
$88,000, so that's an enormous amount of money.
Fantastic.
So they'll be smiling all the way to the bank too, I would think. But we were very happy with our lot because that was what we needed. But it's really great to know. I know it's an election year and all that type of thing. It's still money, and that's what's important to the community. Thank you.
Councillor Braithwaite.
Yeah, I'd just like to mention that I attended the Small Halls Festival at Pomona on the, I think it was the 22nd, 23rd of last month. It was an outstanding success. They would have had at least 130, 140 people there, all paying $25 to get through the door, all waiting for the a gyros and a beer, and they seem to be having a very good time. The only comment I made to them was that outdoor area that sits on the north side of the hall needs to be increased in size because it's not big enough if they're going to hold this again. But it was a fantastic event.
That's it?
Yep.
Thank you. Councillor Hall.
I'm going to spoil the record of being quick.
No.
I'll do my best. March 22nd, I attended a stakeholder engagement on the Western Highway Transport Corridor. They gave us an update, which was quite informative. March 23rd, the Ararat Islamic Welfare Association Multicultural Day dinner. It was a rather poignant event after the events in Christchurch, but successful as always. On March 25th, I attended the announcement by Dan Teen of funding for the chairs upstairs in the town hall, which was very welcome. And at that meeting, Councillor Deutsch raised the issue of the dire situation regarding retaining doctors in this area, and Dan Teen took that on board. March the 27th, the Moist and Progress Association had a residents information session, which was led by GWM Water, explaining progress in urban water and pipeline extension projects. It was quite a lively meeting. April 10th, I also attended the Council's business breakfast. There were speakers from GWM and Pep Atchison from Pomona State. It was a very successful event, and people stayed talking after the event finished, which showed that it was a really good networking opportunity for businesses. April 7th, I attended the gardening market in Alexandra Hall. It was absolutely great stalls, enthusiastic buyers, and Kevin and I came home lighter in the pocket and very happy gardeners. So I commend the organisers of that event. There was also a van there from GWM Water handing out leaflets about composting and waste-saving measures, which was very good. On April the 12th, I attended the Rail Freight Alliance in Melbourne, and that was probably the highlight of the events that I've attended this month. It was an excellent event, very good speakers. While the project has no direct benefit to Ararat, they need our support, just as other municipalities have supported us with the Western Highway duplication. Parks, Toowoomba and Moree expect to achieve significant benefits from the project. The Economic Development Office of Parks explained how they were leveraging the implementation of projects with amazing results. Their industry engagement and developments are so spectacular that councillors and CEOs present were trying to think of ways to poach her services from parks. Perhaps their economic development followed the fact that they had a 64% rate rise in 2009-2010. That would not be possible now with rate capping, but I think it was the seeding funding for what's taken place, and there's no time to discuss it here, but if you have the chance to look at their economic plan online, I suggest you do. There were some state freight statistics quoted by Victorian officials. The project freight transport will triple by 2050. Melbourne to Brisbane transport will double by 2050, and 70% of that will come from Victoria. The Victorian population is projected to increase to 10 million by 2050, and there are 4 terminals are being built in the Port of Melbourne, which will have benefits for grain coming from the Wimmera and our area. I think the networking from people from other municipalities and the ideas that I brought back were well worth that attending.
Well, that leaves me. So I started with Tinsel My Town competition awards at the Ararat Early Learning Centre with the CEO. We managed to drop the award almost on a young 4-year-old's head and then tread on the same child, so we were very dexterous. But that was in relation to the competition held for Christmas, a bit late. With other councillors, I also attended the multicultural dinner and the announcement from Dan Team with other councillors at the Town Hall funding the chairs. I then chaired the Municipal Management Committee at the new CFA headquarters, and I've been there before, but I think members of the committee were very impressed with the location. I also was at the launch of the Western Bulldogs Leadership Program, where they've got 9 or 10 young people from our municipality that they're going to nurture over a 9 to 10 month period, including a couple of camps away. And they're not just from the town, there's a couple from Lake Bowley and some from other areas. It's a really good program. I met with the Mayor of Ballarat over the heritage listing they're applying for, which includes us for World Heritage listing, so that was an interesting conversation. I'll just leave it at that. I then had the ministerial panel. I've been on had a meeting with the Woolloowa Hall Committee, and just to remind everyone, the opening was on Thursday. 1 o'clock was it? I can't remember off the top of my head. But anyway, it will be the social event at Woolloowa. With other councillors, I also attended the business breakfast. I've also been to Elmhurst Hall Committee, and the CEO and the VFF met with Dan Team yesterday in relation to the pipeline after he'd been with the other community groups. And then I had
what was the feedback from that?
Well, he's confident that the funding will occur. I think that would be fair.
For the full project?
Yep.
Well, the rest of the project is only there. Only federal money is missing. The community's money and the state money is there. So it's only the federal money that's missing. And of course, last night I had a Tattoo Hall Committee meeting, which they called at about midday or something like that. Meetings they're going very well. All the committees are going very well and have positive outlook towards council. So that's the end of my report. So anyone wish to move the recommendation that reports be received? Councillor Holt and Councillor Braithwaite. Anyone wish to speak? No. All those in favour? That's passed. There are no notes of motion. There is no urgent business. There is no confidential business at this meeting, so the meeting is now over.
Second fastest one.
No.